Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Austin from QREW Technologies. Excited to have everybody here again on another AppSheet training live stream. What I'm going to do, if there's no specific business use case, I'll just run through a task tracker and how to set that up, and kind of some ideal components that I like to have in all of my AppSheet apps. And yeah, we'll just kind of roll from there. Let me go to this slide here. So unleashing the potential of no code. Let me see if it'll let me present a few of our or a few of AppSheet's great use cases for their platform. So over here on AppSheet.com, they have a few bit of customers that have really embraced the no-code technology. So I'm glad that it's showing now. So like I said, we have BHI over here who really embraced citizen development and just the tool of Google Workspace and AppSheet together. And they built, I think they said 115 apps was how many they built here. So yeah, 115 AppSheet applications in less than 2 years. So if your business is one of those that's looking to empower their line of business users, and even if maybe some of your business professionals are asking, hey, we need more automation, we need these tools. A lot of us are being asked to do more with less right now. No code is a great way to do that. There's lots of other technologies out there right now, including ChatGPT and AI. That's a big one that's helping people just get a lot more done with maybe not as many resources. And so what we can do is embrace that moment and learn to take advantage of these no-code technologies and tools to help us, get the work done that we need to get done, and continue pushing the business forward. All right. And then the other one I wanted to share with y'all is our no code list. So if you're looking for different tools besides AppSheet, this is another one of our websites that we have. So nocodelist.co is how you get to that one. And it just has a bunch of different no-code technologies that are available on the market right now. And if you have a no-code tool that you want to put on here, you can also do that. And so, yeah, there's just a running list of different tools, and you can look at what they have to offer and everything. All right. So just share that one real quick. And then again, feel free. I'll be on here until about 3:45, 4 o'clock. So if you have questions or you have specific business workflows that you're hoping to get answers to, I'm here to answer those and help you build and design these workflows for your organization. That's what we're here to do. QREW Technologies' goal is to help empower citizen developers and make sure that you have the tools that you're familiar with using, and you are ready to use those for your day-to-day tasks. All right, so let's just make a task tracker. So this is, again, one of the highly watched videos that we have on our YouTube channel, and it's a great starter use case to get working in AppSheet. So let's go through a few of the basics of what we need to build a working AppSheet app, or just a business workflow in general when we're going to be using AppSheet. So first and foremost, we always need to name the sheet up here. So calling it a task tracker. And then we'll have our tables down here at the bottom. So we have a table of tasks. And I always use the singular version. There's some database naming procedure that I was advised to follow. And so I think it's a pretty good tactic because it's a table of tasks. And then we're going to have a table of users as well. And so those are basically the only two tables that we're going to need here for this workflow. And The next thing that we need is we'll always, or the next step is let's make our columns so we can have the fields that we need to in our AppSheet application. So I always start with an ID, and then we'll have the task name, and task name, and then we'll have a task description. Maybe there's more detail that we want within there. And then we also want to have who it was submitted by, and then who it's assigned to. All right, and then we'll have a status, and maybe let's have a column for prioritizing. Sweet. And then we have date. I always like to put the date created and who it was created by here. All right. So from left to right, we've got our form for tasks. So we've got ID, and I'll zoom in a little bit just in case it's a little bit too far away. There we go. Okay, so for the task table, the specific fields that we have are going to be ID, task name, task description, submitted by, assigned to, status, and then we'll have a priority, the data that it was created, and then the created by. Okay, and then just do a little data cleanup. I like to bold mine usually. Here's a little Google Sheets trick if you didn't know. Let's say you make this column way too wide. I always like to come in here and click resize column, 120. Boom. Now it's back to the correct size that these other ones are already defaulted to. And I just like keeping everything clean. Looks like everything's set to 100 actually. Google Sheets says 120, but there we go. Okay, so I guess if I wanted to change it back to the actual default and go back to 100, and then there we go. Now we're got the column back to the right size. Another thing I like to do just to clean up the data structure is I'll highlight the last column that doesn't have any values associated with it, and I'll do Control Shift and then arrow over to get all of these columns here. I'll go ahead and delete those right there because we don't need those columns kind of crowding up the sheet there. Okay, and I'll give you one more free tip because I like using this one as well. So I usually go and search for manually generated unique ID values, and this is just a great little spreadsheet formula if I want to enter some values for my Google Sheet before I enter it into AppSheet, and I can get that, copy and paste it right there. And let's do 3 values there. Okay, and then I'm gonna go over here real quick, get some data for us. So for task table in table format. All right. So just asked, the ChatGPT right there just to give me some data for task tracker application, and it gave me some great, I guess what we could call just fake data. So that way we can add it into our AppSheet app, and it would feel more relevant. And AppSheet can do some just like some basic guesses on what needs to be in there. Okay, so they didn't give us everything that we wanted, but they gave us some good starter points here. And so I'm going to quickly take this and add it back over here. So I was just verifying what different values they had. So they actually added a due date, which is super important for these types of applications. We definitely want to have a due date for these things. And then I'm going to copy and paste this data over here. And so I don't need this one here. and I can take this one out because this is just their ID columns. And what I'll do here is this is going to be the task name, right? So we have review project plan, design UI mockups, code backend, test application, finalize documentation. Okay. And then we can put these as the assigned to column over here. So assigned to, and then who's it submitted by, which really that's what the created by column is. And we'll automate that in AppSheet. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that column. We don't really need that. Task description, we'll come up with some task descriptions there. And then our due dates here, listed in date format. That's great. And then the status of each of them and priority, we'll just put high priority and then medium and medium, low, and we'll do medium for this one as well. Okay, then who was it created by? And I will go ahead and put my email here. And then I can go ahead and just copy and paste this one down all the way. And then date created, I'm just going to put the now function. And you're going to see me use a little bit of Google Sheets formulas just to get the data ready. But I'm actually just going to highlight all of these. So now I have unique IDs for each of them. I have the task name. I need a task description for these right here. And actually just for making sure that we're using the time wisely here, I'm going to go ahead and remove that column. And we'll just have the task name, who is it assigned to, the due date, status, priority, who was it created by. Okay, and so then I'm actually going to highlight everything, do a Control-C, and then Control-Shift-V. Okay, that's going to take out the formulas there. Okay, because when we load this into AppSheet, we want to make sure we don't have any formulas. We just want the actual data, so that way we can use AppSheet's formulas to add all that information in. Okay, great. So now we have a basic task table lined up for us. We've got the ID, we got the task name, who it's assigned to, their due date, the status, the priority in which it should be engaged on, and then who created these different tasks and what time they did. So I guess let's do one more update here. We'll do date time created. Okay, perfect. All right, so next we have the user table. This is pretty simple and straightforward. I'm just going to have my email, my name, and maybe we don't even need a role for this. I really just want to have this table so I can associate my name with a task that I'm creating. And so we'll just do email and name. If you wanted to, you can have an ID column for this. I usually prefer user tables to not have ID columns. But I think some of our company policies, we do have ID columns for user tables. Just in case somebody's email changes, you're not changing the key, you're changing just a label, which is their email. So that's one way to avoid that situation there. Okay, so got my name and my email there. And now same procedure, so Control-Shift arrow to get all the columns. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete those to do the data cleanup there, bold my header columns, and then I have my email over there on the frozen column, and then my name right there. Okay, so now I can associate the created by with my email over there in AppSheet using the user email function, and I have my task list created. All right, let's get it rocking and rolling in AppSheet. So I'm just going to go extensions AppSheet, create an app. And as you can see, it's now going to be loading our AppSheet app here. And while it's doing that in the background, again, if you have any questions, feel free to add those in the chat. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, we already got a working task tracker app there. ready to go. And so I'll go ahead and open this one up here so y'all can see kind of the visualization of the app being created. So just in as little as about, what is that, 5 to 10 minutes, we've got a functioning application ready to go. And that's kind of the key there for citizen development. If you can empower your team to be able to think through their business workflows like this, where they start seeing, I have this specific workflow that I'm working on. This is how I can translate that into AppSheet. That is going to be a huge time saver for your organization. All right. So the next AppSheet's already giving me the suggested table, so it wants me to add the user table. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then again, that's going to be important for associating each of the tasks to who created it. Okay, so now we have ID, and let's just verify the user email or the unique ID is there. Great. So now when we create a new record, it will put that there. And I took away the show column because we don't need to see that one. We'll just need to see their name. Okay, so we have the cards are kind of showed by the task name and then who it's assigned to, which ones are in progress and which ones are not started. So one trick that I like to do is I like to add a virtual column. And let's actually, before we get to that one, let's make sure our status. So status should be an enum. It should be a list of values, which would be the started and, or sorry, not started and in progress. And then we'll also have completed. All right, so the 3 statuses there to see which of our states our projects are in. So I like to save things quite a bit, and I just like to see the changes updated as much as possible. So that's just kind of my workflow with AppSheet. And then I'm going to change this one to an enum as well, and that's going to be a low, medium, and high priority. Okay. And so enum is just giving me that ability to do a drop-down menu there. All right, so go ahead and save that one. And now that we've got that, this created by is actually going to be a reference to the user table. And in order to associate it with the right user, all I have to do is scroll over here and do our user email function. And there we go. I think AppSheet's given me the green checkbox. Yep. So user email there. And I'll go ahead and click save. Okay. And then our date time created is also showing there, and it's putting the now formula there. So similar to the Google Sheets formula, we can just put the now formula, or rather initial value. So that way it's on when we create the record, not every time the record's updated. And so another just quick user experience cleanup that I do is I use the context and view type feature, and I say it does not equal form. So I only want the created by field and the date time field, basically the timestamp, showing when it's like a detail view. I don't want it showing when it's a form view, because I don't want people to accidentally fill out that field. Okay, so I got those fixed up there, and then we have our task name, who it's assigned to. This this could ideally be a reference to the team table or the user table, and I would need to enter these people in on the user table over here. So I would just take these guys and just add them to my user table here, and then we'll just give them some emails real quick. That way we can select them as well. And I'll just use those email lines there and go through each of them like so. All right. There we go. Okay. So now we have everybody entered in as a user there, and that will make more sense there, as well as the labels here. Okay. And then let's just go ahead and save that so it can get those changes right there. Okay. Let's see what else we got to do. So we have the assigned to, the due date should just be a date. Let's see if we can make. So one of the formulas I like to use for this is, I believe it's the workday one. This one's pretty helpful just because it's only going to include the work days. So if you don't work weekends, you're not going to ever assign a task during a weekend. Usually 3 days is a good turnaround time for any given task. Sometimes you need it to be sooner, but 3 days is a general good length for getting any given task done. All right, so got that one added there, and then it won't assign anything on the weekends either. Okay. That looks good. Perfect. Okay, so we have our user table. Okay. Okay, so the trick I wanted to show you guys before we close it out is for statusing and kind of setting it up the right way. So basically, this is going to be the status order. I like to use just like an ifs function to make sure it orders the status in the way I like it to be ordered. So I'll say ifs, give myself some room, and then I'm going to load the status column in here. And it did not get it. We'll do it this way. So status, if the status equals, not started, then I want you to write 1 not started. All right, and this is just like a little bit of a tip and trick for AppSheet, right? Other platforms, you may or may not have to do this just because AppSheet orders stuff by alphabetical order. And so if you wanted to sort a certain way, this is one workaround for that. Okay, so in progress, we'll do number 2. And then there's also some sorting features that I like with the new desktop UI that have been really helpful. And then the last one is completed. Or I think I put complete. I'll double check that one. And then we'll just do number 3. Okay. And mark that as done. And let's check the statuses. Okay, I did do completed. I'm going to change it to complete. So we can have it just like that. Okay, so now our status order should show up with these columns here, or these values, right, in AppSheet. It's still going to show up with without the numbers on our Google Sheet, which is what we want. But for ordering here, we can have it set up that way. And so what I'll do is I like to go to the hyperlink down here to the view. Was located right down here, and zoom in again, and then I'll go to the status, the group by, and I'll change it to the status order, and everything's going to show blank right now because I haven't saved it, but I'll save it, and then it should reorder it into the proper statusing there. All right, so 1 not started, 2 in progress, and then we can move 1 to complete. All right, so does anybody usually see this yellow triangle pop up? This is a common problem for when you're like first getting started with AppSheet. If you know the solution to this, throw it in the chat. And we'll see if you can beat me to it. So basically, all that's happening is I'm referencing this assigned to column here. I'm saying that this is a reference, but these are not reference values here, right? These are just names of people, which is the label on our user table. So I'm referencing the label, and therefore AppSheet's like, I have no idea who you're talking about. And so what I need to do instead is come over here, grab the actual values or the actual ID and enter those here. Okay, so now AppSheet sees, okay, that's the ID I was looking for, not the actual label. The label, again, is for us humans to understand what data is there. The ID is for AppSheet. In this case, our ID is, or our key column, I should say, is the email. All right. Looks like we got one person in the chat. Hello, guys. How are you doing? Finally, I watch you live. Learned so much from you guys and crew. Thank you, and God bless you. God bless you too. Thanks for joining the live stream as well. Always happy to see someone virtually. Hopefully, we'll get to see you on one of our tech talks and meet one-on-one. That'd be great. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing and showing some of your appreciation. Definitely appreciate that. Okay, so now we can see over here back in our AppSheet app that John has no longer the yellow triangle anymore. It now has the reference value. So now we can go right to his user profile and see he's got one task assigned to him. Right, so we already have that relational database kind of component there. And so from here, it's really just cleaning up the UI and designing it to implement your workflows. So I'll just give some quick points on like how I like to structure the UI. We do have a little bit of time left. So if you like dark mode, put it to dark mode, just with the click of a button right there, right? And then you can put your own launch image there, your app logo there, and your background there. You can also show the name in the header and then the logo. All right, so there's our name and logo. We like to use this one right here, the accented footer, and then Roboto is great. So then general, I actually like this accounting format. It's pretty cool. That's just a side note. And then I always like to preview new features, so I can use the desktop mode. And then view type options. That's what I wanted to show y'all. So if you're looking for like global settings that you like for all your views, this is where to go, is on settings and then view type options. So this is great for dashboards. I actually don't use dashboards too much now that they have the new desktop mode feature. It kind of does all that for you. There are some instances where dashboards are great, like for visualizing charts and stuff like that. But yeah, okay, so for these, I like to put side-by-side view. I personally love the side-by-side view. I think it displays the data very nice. So if we click on that, now all of these have changed to that, and even the form editor is side-by-side, just with one click of the button. So I don't have to go to each view and kind of click through each of the view settings and change it for each particular view. All right, so there's a little bit of data cleanup for that one, or sorry, UX design cleanup for that one. And then task, the easiest one to make for these types of apps is changing the status from not started to in progress to completed. So let's walk through that workflow. Let's see if we can do that real quick. So status promotion, and then we'll do like the inverse, the status demotion. Okay, and this is going to be similar type of expression using the if statement. So if this, then this, and kind of going all the way till the end. So if status equals not started, let's see. not started, then I want you to change it to in progress. All right. And then if it equals in progress, I want you to change it to complete. Okay, and I think that's all we need for the promotion. And we'll save it. And then just do a quick behavior update, or not that one, a display. So the arrow is going to be arrow to the right for going forward. And then we'll duplicate this one and we'll do status demotion. Demotion? Maybe that's how you spell it. Well, we'll go with that for now. And then the display for that one is an arrow, and it's going to be facing the opposite way. So go with that one. All right. And then I'll show you guys how to like rearrange these as well. So for this, if it's complete, we want it to be marked as in progress. And if it's in progress, we want it to be marked as not started. All right, so there we go. Pretty quick right there. And now let's rearrange these here. So I actually want this one first. And so I just clicked this little reorder items button here, and it pulls up this pop-up menu, and I can rearrange my different action buttons there. Okay, and I'll go ahead and save that. And doesn't like it. Why does it not like it? What did I do? Oh, I forgot to put the comma. I should have known. Okay, save that one there and put the comma there. All right, so now it's separated and it knows which one goes where. So one of my favorite phrases that I use a lot in the office is, you just kind of figure out to troubleshoot. You're just looking through your options, seeing which one works best, and then that one will work. All right. Okay, and so now we have the status promotion and demotion, and then if we wanted to have it on here on this card view, we'll just simply come over here and we'll add the promotion and the demotion. Okay, and let's reorder those as well. Okay, so save it one more time, and then let's demo this to see if it's functioning. So promoting the task, boom, moved it up here, and then promoting it to completed. Awesome. And now let's demote it back down and back down to not started. There we go. Okay, so if we wanted to take this one step further, we can make it hide using the behavior controls there to show and hide it when it reaches a certain status. But yeah, that's the basic premise of that one there. So I think that's all the time we have now. Yeah, thank you for joining the live stream. And it does look like we have a few comments here. And Stefan joined the live stream. Thanks, Stefan, for joining. Looks like our viewer here, he says he's got an inventory, sales, expense reservations, and order tracking. So those are great use cases for AppSheet there. And that's what we want to see AppSheet being used for, to really get the most value out of this platform. So again, if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you found this information valuable. I'm hoping to get on here every day at 3 p.m. and hopefully these will get better over time. And I appreciate the comments today. Hopefully, we'll see some more people back tomorrow. You can register for these live streams at appsheettraining.com/livestream. And then always feel free to sign up for a free tech talk where you get to meet one-on-one with us and dive more into your use case and how we can help you grow your business with no-code technologies like AppSheet. So I want to thank everyone for joining today. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Y'all have a great one.